Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Niamh and I am going to be bringing you through my problem solving action plan. This is a great template to use if you have a problem at work or in any other area of your life, and I'm going to bring you through it step by step. But before we open up the template and go through each of the sections, I want to talk about what exactly is a problem and when you should use this kind of action plan. If you have any questions along the way, drop them into the comments below. I check them regularly and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. So what is a problem? Well, it's important to identify this, otherwise you'll be creating action plans for pretty much anything and it's going to end up taking up too much of your time and not helping in the way that we want. It helps to think about it in two levels. So there is an incident and then there could be an underlying problem. And this comes from incident management in IT, but also in other areas that you would see in different industries. The idea is that an incident is a single occurrence. So let's bring a work example into it. An incident would be that I'm late delivering my report. Okay, so it happened on Tuesday for the first time. I was late delivering my report, and maybe I was late because I got stuck in a meeting. So that is a single incident. If that happens time and time again, so over the course of a few weeks, I'm late a lot, and it's not just the report I'm late with, I'm late attending meetings, I'm late sending follow-up replies and doing all the other things, then that means that there could be an underlying problem. And if we fix the underlying problem, then all of the related incidents will be resolved as well. So that's why I'm saying you're not going to be using this template every single time you have a late task or you make an error or you have a single incident. It's more to be used if you have something that you see is happening over time, that you see a pattern of events and you want to get to the underlying cause. You with me? Great. So once you have an inkling that there's a problem, it's time for us to get out the template and work our way through it. And I use Google Docs for this template. You can download it. I'll include the link in the description, but you can export it to Word as well. I often print it off or I save it as a PDF and just fill it in on my iPad. So you do whatever suits you. The first section of the template is what is the problem to be solved? Might seem obvious, but it's a simple question, not always easy to answer. Because the problem could be multifaceted. There could be a lot of different things contributing to why, for example, I'm late with a lot of my work. Maybe it's my workload. Maybe it's my own misjudgment of time. Maybe it's somebody else who keeps interrupting me and starts asking me to do things last minute, which means I can't get to the work I planned. It takes some time to try to articulate what is the problem to be solved. So you would say, I am regularly late delivering my work because, and try to finish that. If there are more than one causes of the problem, tackle one at a time. There's no need to try and fix everything at once, because you might see once you fix one area, the others ease off. So I am always late or I am regularly late delivering my work because, perhaps for me it's because I have too many meetings. And that's the problem that we want to solve. And that goes into the first box. If you're doing this as a team, this is a great way to make sure that you're all on the same page about what it is you're trying to fix, so that one person isn't thinking one thing and the other person isn't thinking the other thing. Next, we want to answer probably the most important question here is, why does it need to be solved? You see, you might have some things which are a problem, but they have very low impact. So for example, a problem could be that there's never any whiteboard markers in meeting rooms in your office. But if people are rarely in the office these days, or if they're very rarely using the whiteboard, then it doesn't really make sense to spend a lot of time and effort deep diving into what's causing that and why should we fix it. However, if You have a problem where there's a lack of whiteboard markers in the office, and if everybody's coming in quite regularly to meet, to brainstorm, to try and solve some problems, maybe get some products out the door, do a lot of creative work, and the lack of material is impacting their ability to deliver towards their goals, then it's a problem worth solving. It's the same with your work. So if the work that I'm always late delivering is low value, low impact, maybe it's just work that I like to do for myself, perhaps my own research, then there's very little impact that goes beyond me. However, if this is causing other people to be delayed in their work, or it's causing stress for other people or projects to be delayed, that's when we really want to make sure we're fixing it. So why does it need to be solved is you defining the business case or the impact that this problem is having, not only on you, but on the wider team or the company or your customers or whoever it is that's impacted. And this is our motivation for actually getting it solved. Once we know what the problem is and why it's important to be solved, we want to look at the steps to solving it. And it's very rare that you would do everything on your own. There's nearly always a case where you need some support or information from somebody else or sign off from somebody else. So in the template, the next section is who is going to help you. This is where you list everybody who can potentially help you solve the problem. It could be your manager, teammates, it could be somebody at home who gives you support, it could be somebody in another team, it could be a mentor. Write down the names of who can help you to solve this problem. In my case, it being a workload management problem, I might write down my manager. Maybe I want to go through my workload with them. Maybe my team members, because they might be able to help me. Maybe somebody from another department who I'm working an awful lot with. Once we know who can help us, then we can start asking for that help and moving forward. Which brings us on to the next step. That's what it is that you want them to do. If you are going up to people asking for help and their next question is, how can I help you? You want to have a pretty good answer because they're probably busy. They have a lot of other things on. And if you're not clear on how they can support you, they're going to say something like, come back to me when you have more information, or let me know when you have it all figured out, or I don't know how much time I have to give you because you're not being clear. So using this template helps you to write down exactly what help or what support you need from each person, so that when you go to have that conversation, you're more confident, you're more clear. So in my case, for the manager, I would want them to do a workload review with me. If we go back to the whiteboard scenario, it might be we want facilities to order more whiteboard pens. Once we have a clear understanding of what we want everyone to do, take a minute before you go out asking for help and check to see, is there anything else that you need to do? So how much of it can you control, even if nothing else can be resolved? So for example, even if nobody could help me, I could still probably do better at managing other people's expectations of when they expect to get work from me, or I could perhaps reduce the amount of time I spend on non-value work or non-value things when I'm meant to be focusing on my deliverables. So by all means, begin with who else can you get to support you, but please don't forget that there is a huge amount that is within your control and that you can manage. Now that we know who's going to help, including yourself, and what's going to be done, we need to look at when. Well, this is important because if we don't have a clear understanding of the frequency or the timeline, then everything is going to be up in the air. And it's like, yeah, the problem is being solved, but I don't know when it's going to be fixed. So if you want to do a workload review with your manager, you might say, I want it done by the end of the month. And then every 2 weeks after that, that's an example of a due date and a frequency afterwards. So you do need to get your timeline in place so you can see all the pieces stacking together and you have an expected date for when you see the problem solved. So for example, if I had a lot of different people who I needed some input from and it was all to be done by the end of the month, then next month I would expect to deliver my work on time more regularly. So look at the when, which is either a due date or a frequency, and put that in your next column. And while you're doing that, check for where. Where is a bit of a funny column. It does not just mean a physical location, it also means digital locations or any place that a thing resides in this case. So for example, where for a workload review could be online via Zoom. So we decided we're going to do it by Zoom. If somebody else has to give me, let's say, we'll say prep material or give me data for my report, for example, the where could be the system or the folder that they're going to put it in every week. So it's the digital location, right? So when you're thinking where, think of where is the thing going to happen? And that could be a conversation, a meeting with somebody, or it could be where information is put so that you can collect it. You put that down, and then if you take a look, you see who's going to help you, what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, and where you expect to find that help or that output to solve the problem. Before you go and rush into solving the problem and running away with the solution, take a minute to run it by somebody else, even if it's only 2 or 3 minutes, to make sure that you haven't missed anything. It's always good to get another perspective, and that could be your manager, it could be a colleague, it could be somebody from another team, just somebody to say, have I missed anything, or would you do anything differently? You don't have to take everything they say on board, but it's always good to see that other opinion. And then finally, the last line in the template, how will you know that the actions have been successful? So you've done the work and you have asked for the help. They've done what they've said that they're going to do, and you are now checking to see is the problem solved. So in my workload case, as I said, by the following month, I should expect my work to be delivered on time more regularly. That is what success looks like. And you need to fill in this box before you start trying to fix this problem, because otherwise it's a moving target. And especially if you're doing this as a team, unless you're clear what success looks like, it'll be like you're always trying to get to better without ever knowing what good enough is. And that's it. So you can see what we're doing here. We're understanding what the problem is, the impact of the problem or why we care about solving it, and then considering who else can help along with ourselves, what they're going to do and when they're going to do it, and where that help is going to take place, and how we're going to know we've the problem solved or we've done what we can based on what we think the cause of the problem is. When you use this template, it's an excellent way to come back to check your progress as those actions are taking place, to reflect afterwards to see if you missed anything, if anything worked particularly well, and if you're going to repeat it in the future for any reason. And most of all, it allows you to approach the day with more confidence and to be more organized in your actions as you try to solve this problem. As I said at the start of this video, if you want to use the template, there is a link in the description, so please download it. If you have any questions on this, pop them into the comments. I will come back to you as quickly as I can, usually within a day. And if you like it, this video, if you think it'd be helpful for someone you know, please comment, share, and support me in that way. I would really appreciate it. Until next time, stay well and have a better workday.